Welcome to the 6th Annual Soilcraft Conference. Join us as we listen to world-class speakers in the space of regenerative agriculture, as well as human health. We grow food. Food should nourish us, and often we find that our modern food is laden with unwanted synthetics or void of the minerals and vitamins we need to thrive. We endeavor to host this conference for your inspiration and education. Our calling is to help you produce food that heals people and our planet. Join us in this journey to become better stewards of our bodies and the world we abide in.
Yeah, I don't have the magic anymore. Yeah. Please do, because I'm stuck. Yeah.
Different studies I've looked at, from different studies I've looked at and also personal experience, that we also can say spacing or competition within similar species. Because something else that I've observed, and I think many other people have, is that if you have a diverse species, then you can actually have quite dense spacing, but you don't have the same competition for those minerals. In fact, you have synergies then.
Yes. Absolutely true. This companion planting works very, very well. One, because that's what nature does. And two, we understand that some plants work very well together because why? As Denver was mentioning, they're not competing with one another. A corn plant will compete against another corn plant. A soybean plant will compete against another soybean plant. But a corn plant and a soybean plant right next to one another, they're not competing so much. As a matter of fact, both of them are helping the other. Corn is throwing a massive amount of sugar in there, even more than the soybean plant often. The soybean is often, if it has the nitrogenous nodules, is going to be feeding nitrogen to the corn plant. Companion planting, or strip planting, as it is sometimes called, has turned out to be very successful. This is where we've been able to achieve, as you may know, some of the highest yields that you can get. And when you do this type of thing, rather than trying to throw 36,000 corn in an acre, if you split it up and then find a correlation to that, as to how many acres you would have, the yield will actually go up. So that's a good point. So that is an issue with it. We also have the leaf canopy. The leaf canopy wants sun. If it's a citrus tree, it wants sun. If it's too close to another, it's not getting sun. So if the roots are going down, they're usually going to about the drip line, which is about as far as the leaf canopy goes. That's how most plants work. Not so in Florida, so to speak, because we have what are known as hurricanes, and we have a water table which is much, much higher than the rest of the country, which can be sometimes less than 12 inches underneath our soil. This is a problem. Roots don't like to be in that much water. So what do? The roots spread. They go beyond the leaf canopy. And when they spread, they run into the roots of their companion tree. You now have a high-density problem because the roots are running into one another. What happens? The Brix goes down. As I've told you, citrus is running between 4 to 7 Brix right now in the state of Florida. This is citrus today. Some of you are doubting me. Some of you say, no, these are bushes. This is ornamental horticulture. I can go and buy these and put them on my front yard. No, that's citrus. The tree's huge. These aren't, but they don't expect them to grow that big. They expect them to die. They're trying to get 10 years out of a plant that normally lives 65 to 75 years, and in some cases longer. This high-density planting has gotten so bad that they now just look like hedges. Individual trees are gone. Everything is suffering. This is why we have 4 to 7 Brix on average of the citrus. High-density planting is a major, major issue. All right, what contributes to raising it? Well, raising it means put the bowling balls down. That's possibly what needs to be done. If you put the bowling balls down, your Brix will go up. Can you help it along? Absolutely you can. Most important thing is to put down sugar. Why do I say that? Because the plant tells us that's the most important thing. The role of a plant is to photosynthesize. And when you know that that's the number one role of plants, to feed itself and to make sure that the microbes are taken care of, you can see that this is a big thing. And about half of the sugar is going down to feed the microbes. So you will sometimes need to add sugar in order to jumpstart the system because there's not enough sugar coming down from a 3.4 Brix plant. Because half of 3.4 is about 1.7. You're not doing too well. That's not a lot of sugar. You get a 16.2 Brix plant, now you've got 8.1 Brix, so to speak, going into the soil to feed the microbes. Game changer. Major game changer. That's why putting down sugar is the single most important thing you do. Every time you pass on the field, throw down the molasses. The other sugars will work just fine too. Molasses is preferable. It's relatively cheap. Get in a tanker truck, it's down to $3 a gallon. And so you can put down 2 gallons or more per acre. Cost you about $6, maybe $7. These are the inexpensive things that can be done in order to jumpstart the system once you put down the bowling balls. Fish emulsion. Wow, microbes love this stuff. I don't care what it is. Organic Gem, Neptune's Harvest. There's a lot of different ones that are out there. They all work pretty darn well. Microbes love these fish emulsions. Soft rock phosphate. Why did I mention that? Well, this is the rock thing. Soft rock phosphate has phosphates. You get that. I get that. But did you know that soft rock phosphates have almost all of the other minerals as well? And so when they're put out there, these are now available to the plant. We can get massive jumps in Brix. Massive is usually 2 Brix in a short term. And the soft rock phosphate is part of the job. Kelps and the seaweeds, fantastic products. All nutritional type products that are all very beneficial to move things in the right direction, especially if you're going to put the bowling balls down. If you're going to keep the bowling balls there and you start using this stuff, you will notice that you're still not going to be able to jump as high as you would like. But once you put the bowling balls down, you can start to use some of this in order to help things along. Judicious tilling, I've alluded to that already. I think that oxygen is important. That's why I'm an advocate of it. You don't do a dang thing to the most of the microbes in the soil when you're doing that, and if you crush up a few fungi, they will grow back. So I'm not worried. And I would ask you, are you raising crops or are you raising mycorrhizal fungi? And you cannot believe the number of blank stares that I get from this because they have the mentality that they're raising mycorrhizal fungi, and that's the most important thing. Well, that's not feeding your family, okay? It's not feeding your family. So don't take your eye off the ball and focus on the crop. Use the mycorrhizal fungi as an important part of it, but make sure that it's not first. And finally, various nutritional supplements. There are lots of micropacks that are out there. All these nutritional supplements almost universally have some benefit associated with them, as long as your soil is not toxic. For example, some of the nutritional benefits are the microbes. You might say to yourself, well, what if I get a microbial pack? You put a microbial pack out in poisonous soil, it's dead within a few minutes, and you've done nothing. It never spreads. And if it was able to spread, that means you probably got pretty good soil already, and you've got all the microbes that you need. So there are some issues that we are having, and I have observed with some of these insertions of putting microbes in the soil because they never seem to take. So here we are. This is what we're trying to do. We're trying to get to 12, 13, 14, 15, yeah, even 16, 17, and 18. And you can get there because I have observed that we can get there. It is not impossible to get there on planet Earth. And so in order to do that, we have to understand how the system works. I've given you some background about how to lower Brix, how to raise Brix, to stop doing the things that are causing trouble, to start using things that you might need to do if you're not using them right now. And I've also told you this, and I want to emphasize this again, because if you've forgotten about this particular slide, then you're kind of almost missing the point. And that is that you can get higher Brix. And we do get higher Brix on most of the plants that are out there. Thank you once again. You have listened to me 3 times. You've put up with me not just once, not just twice, but now 3 times. I've done my best to keep you awake. I can tell you with absolute certainty I did not succeed because I saw a number of you nodding, but that's okay. That's what coffee is for. and hopefully you'll be back on track and we'll be in much better shape as we continue. I would like to thank you for your attention, not just for this, but for the others as well. I know we're getting close to the end of the conference. I'm not closing it down, but I'm just saying, really, truly, on the bottom of my heart, thank you for having me up here and allowing me to speak as I have. Are you about to clap, Joe? Joe, go ahead and clap for me. Thank you. It really helps my ego, and I really do appreciate that. I was about to ask if we have time for questions, but I think you've just answered that by putting a microphone in someone's hand. I was hoping to get off the stage. Thanks a lot, Joe.
You kind of went through seeds a little quick for me. So we're talking about coated seed now from a variety of these houses that say, well, now you can buy our seed. We'll bring up the quality of the seed by the coating.
Yep.
To prevent the diseases.
Yep.
And then secondarily, the stripping of endophytes from basically parent to end crop.
Okay. The reason why we are starting to manually coat the seeds is because we recognize that there are problems. Are there ways to overcome it? Yes. Are there seed additives that we can give in order to improve the situation? There are several that are out there right now. What I'm trying to tell you right now is you have to go back to a time that most of you don't remember, is when you did one pass on a field, and that was to put the seeds in. And then you sat on your porch in your rocking chair, and you watched the plants grow. And then when it was done, you went out and harvested it, but there was just one pass, that initial seed. That has been forgotten. So now we're at this point where things are becoming more complicated. More passes are necessary. We do need to coat seeds now, especially if they're in trouble. This is now raising the cost. If you know, the cost of seeds is running up to about $250 to $280 a bag, whereas you can get most other normal seeds running between $150 to $200. So you're being charged more for unhealthy seeds. Okay? So those are some more details that I didn't mention. But since you brought up the seeds, I'll go ahead and mention that right now. So yes. Okay. Any other questions? Do you have?
Oh, we do over here. Whoa, that was hot mic.
Is your soil hungry? And what are you feeding it? Conventional inputs keep plants alive, like an IV drip that keeps patients alive. But that's not thriving. At Soilcraft, we believe soil should be fed, not just dosed. Soil Vigor is crafted to nourish the living community beneath your feet, to wake it up, strengthen it, and bring it back to life. When you feed your soil, it's like feeding an old friend, and it gives back with abundance.
Kind of simple. I think doing the Brix, what's the best crushing method you have that get the most out of leaf? I have trouble, seems like it.
Yeah. I have trouble too. That's why I have a plant sap press. So there were two plant sap presses that were made. You remember Bob Pike from Acres USA, and there was another individual at Spectrum who made them as well. Spectrum was my favorite one. Both of them have passed away, which means there is no production going on in the United States. And there was a gentleman in Australia. I bought one from him. He essentially copied Bob Pike's. So it's that plant sap press that I use. It's the same device that you use to lift up your car. Same device. So you pump that thing, and things comes down slowly and slowly, crushes the leaves. That's what I use. I have given up on the garlic press with the exception of fruit. I will absolutely crush fruit in a garlic press because it's a little bit quicker and I don't have to clean the plant sap press, which can take me at least 3 minutes to do, which I find annoying. But if I'm doing a lot of readings, this is the process that I do because my hands will get tired. After just 5 times of squeezing that thing, my strength is going to start to decrease. By the time I'm getting to 10 to 15, I'm getting really tired and it's hard to get that juice out, which is kind of partially what you're talking about, especially if you're dealing with a drier crop. But if you're dealing with a drier crop, I can usually throw more leaves into it and therefore get the necessary liquid that I need out of it. And so that's why I use a plant sap press. So that's a good question. Garlic press will work, especially, I've seen some of you farmers, when I shake your hands, it's like my hand disappears in yours. So some of you guys are incredibly strong, but you're so strong that you're actually breaking the garlic presses. And then your wives get mad at you, and then you got to go to the store and get another one, and then you come complain to me because you broke your garlic press. Well, garlic presses are not designed to be used for a long-term use, and therefore that's why I don't use them frequently. I hope that answers your question. All right, Joe, think we're done?
Oh, well, we got another question here.
There's another question?
Another?
Well, I've had the privilege of listening to you several times, and on another one of your presentations, you talked about the citrus tree and the importance of when you're testing these bricks. You're talking about bricks is good, and I think it's important to know when we test, because on that slide it said before a huge rain event, it came through and you went and tested. You were trying to get out there and test the bricks fast.
Yeah.
And the bricks were coming back low, and maybe you could elaborate more on that. But it's important to know when to test this. It's not a,
Okay.
maybe
All right.
tell us when to test bricks.
I test between 1 and 5 in the afternoon. I want to know what it's doing at its best. For a plant sap analysis, of course, we do that at 9 o'clock in the morning. There are reasons for that. When I'm doing a Brix test, I do it in the afternoon. I want to know what it's doing at maximum. I want to give it its best chance to impress me. And that's going to be in the afternoon between 1 to 5. So I'm giving you this window because I don't want you to say, I don't want to say something like, best time to test? No doubt about it. 3:38 p.m. That's the best time. Because you're like, well, this is just not practical right now. But it is practical to say between 1 to 5 because you're going to get a maximal photosynthesis, and then I want to know what it's doing at its best. I don't go old leaf, new leaf. I just go through the middle leaf. I just grab the middle leaf, and I just want to get an idea of how it's doing. And if at its best it's giving me a 2.9, then I'm thinking, wow, this plant is really in trouble right now. I gave it all of the opportunities to impress it, and it hasn't impressed me. And sometimes that happens. So that's what I usually do. I do that during that time. As far as a rainstorm, yeah, I did. We went out there right before a major rainstorm. It wasn't quite a hurricane, but it was close. And we were getting measurements of 1 Brix on plants that actually looked pretty good to me. And we were stunned until we looked up in the sky. And then we realized that we were about to get dumped on. And so the plants have I've been told about this for a long time. And then we immediately, because we'd heard about this before, thinking all going to the roots. And so we're kind of looking at how much time do we have? Maybe 25 minutes. Do you want to do it? And we're like, yeah, get the shovel. So we went, got the shovel, started digging, pulled out as many roots as we can, playing this game, measured the roots, 14 Brix. So the plant had successfully moved the sugars down in about an hour in preparation for the storm, because sometimes these storms will take them off right at the base of the ground. And so they need something to grow back with. We all know, we've all chainsawed trees before. You take them out and they grow back. Why? Because there's enough nutrition in the roots. And this can happen too. The plant says, look, I'm going to be in trouble. This storm's going to possibly take me out. Moves as many nutrients as down, not just sugar. It's going to be almost everything else into the roots until the storm passes. So these are some of the complicating factors that occur. But if you've been doing it for a while, you understand that there are a few exceptions. These exceptions, some people get upset about, really upset. They will sometimes tell me, or sometimes they will publish on the internet about how annoying this is. For me, this is a data point, and all data points are good. Whether it goes up or down, that's a data point that I can use, that I can learn from. And so I'm now teaching you now about storms and about the best time in order to do a Brix reading, because this will give you the best idea of the overall health of the plant instantaneously for about 20 bucks, unless you go with the plant sap press, and then you'll be spending a little bit more. All right, any more questions? Where is my fearless leader? Yes. Whoops. Whoops.
You got another mic?
How did Denver get the job?
So back to green lightning, you said you'd maybe talk a little more about that today. If we're looking at that system and want to improve and maybe use that to get the salts out, but are you seeing a correlation with the Brix too? Because the guy talked about a little bit about he's seeing Brix go up, or is there something we need to be doing with the green lightning to make the Brix better?
Yeah, the Brix, I immediately suggested to them that they put molasses in, and they did. And they got back to me, and it was just wide-eyed. Holy smokes! wow, we got to send you the results on this. It was amazing what happened. And I said, well, this is going to be hard in order to start an entire business on one product. So you're dealing with nitrogen. Nitrogen's certainly important for plants. But there are microbes that also need to help get that in, and you're going to need to feed them. And so by putting the molasses down, you're making everything more efficient. Another part of the problem is that measuring the green lightning, I got 1,000 parts per million nitrates. I got 100 parts per million nitrites. The nitrites are not good. Nobody likes nitrites. Soil doesn't like it, plants don't like it, humans don't like it. So because of this, I had 100 parts per million nitrites. When you put it with the molasses, the microbes will convert. The microbes will do the job for you. Any nitrates that are in there will be quickly converted to nitrates, and then the plant will be able to take up that, meaning that you can utilize all of the nitrogen that is produced by the green lightning product. So I am working with them, doing some consulting for them, helping them through this process, because they've only been at it for just a few years, and things are looking quite good. It's really quite an amazing product. I mean, it's lightning. It's simulating lightning in order to make the nitrates, which happens naturally. So, and it seems to be working out well in that regard. So a new improved version is coming out. There are people that are working on it, much smarter than me, and all the best as we continue to try to help you, to wean you off some of the problems that are keeping you down, the bowling balls that I was referring to. All right, Denver, how are we doing?
Is there another question here?
Can you ever get false readings from, say, high salts or anything like that, or can that deceive or mask the?
You mean a high Brix reading?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you be deceived by a high salt? All right. Because you're asking a very complex question, I will give you a complex answer. We can actually get slight improvements when you're dealing with sandy soil in Florida, and some of the salts are there. They can actually slightly improve the situation because our conductivity could be so low that it's good. Now, right now, everyone realized this a long time ago, and so many salts, including the pesticides and the NPK fertilizers, have been put down in Florida that the groundwater is filled with the salts. So that's a particular problem. It's already too high as it is. But a little bit actually can help you under certain circumstances. If it gets too high, no, it cannot. Plants cannot photosynthesize well, high Brix. They cannot photosynthesize well with too much salt. So the part answer to your question is no. The other part is yes. There are ways to play with it if you understand that salt is important, as I showed in another presentation. You do need some salt, but if you have too much, problems result. And so I think it's always good for you to know everything. I'm trying not to hide anything from you so that you are aware of this, and then you can start making meaningful decisions on your farm in order to get your Brix up. Because when your Brix goes up, your inputs go down. When you don't need insecticides, when you don't need fungicides, when you don't need all those inputs, profit then emerges back into the picture. And you make money, and you're able to feed your kids. And your kids love you. They think you're awesome.
All right, thanks
All right.
so much.
All right, thank you,
Another
Denver.
round of applause for Tom, please.
We're so glad you enjoyed this installment from our in-person conference. We want this to reach as many people as possible, so we've decided to release this free to you bit by bit every month. But imagine how awesome it would be in person. The networking, questions, and discussions that result are equally as valuable. Join us next year in person for our 2026 conference. Your presence makes the experience. If you have any questions or needs, please reach out. Call, email, follow. We can help.